Bitcoin has dropped $16,000 in the past week, nearly 18%. And if you're new, you're probably panicking. If you've been here before, you might be getting exhausted. So what factors are tanking Bitcoin? Should you be worried? What should you be doing right now? I've got some compelling numbers sitting here that may help you decide what to do next. And so tonight on Why Are We Bullish, we've got an old-fashioned bear market hangout with some of my favorite Bitcoin vets. We've got Guy Swann, Matt Odell, and Brandon Quittem. Drop a like on the video. Stay tuned. It's going to be a good time. I'm Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your bullish session. All right, let's welcome to the stage Odell, Guy Swann, Brandon Quittem. Gentlemen, thanks for being here. It does feel like a bit of a family reunion. How you guys been?
Doing all right.
That good?
Doing all right. Doing all right. I've been busy. I've been busy as shit, man.
Yeah, there's always plenty to do when your net worth is slipping through your fingers and you're calling into question your very existence. But
on top of that, I live in Minneapolis, so things are boring here.
So you're living the dream. Oh, you got everything covered. Well, gents, I mean, we're here to be bullish. That's the name of the show. And so I just want to give some perspective first to the viewers. I know there's going to be some people here that maybe haven't been even through a full kind of up and down cycle. And they're like, what in the hell is going on? So a lot of newcomers don't know that if you miss the 10 best days in a year for Bitcoin's price, you basically erase all of the gains. You're screwed. So people trying to time in and out of the market really get raked over the coals. So I was curious how bad it was if you do that. And I went and I ran the numbers. And so I wanted to show you guys how bad it actually gets. So I went through, I started at 2016 and said, okay, past decade, what does it look like? And so I did year by year, you know, what was the regular annual return and what was the annual return minus the best 10 days. And it's pretty abysmal. Now, 2017 was insane.
The exception.
Yeah, it was the exception.
I love you said you crunched the numbers and then you just had your computer slave do it.
So I crunched the numbers by typing a sentence into ChatGPT. Yeah, so pretty much, again, like, yeah, you get the occasional down year where it felt pretty crappy, like down 74% or down 64%. But it was mostly looking pretty good. Whereas if you missed the best 10 days, you know, you were pretty much down all the time with a few very slight exceptions.
Minor exceptions.
Yeah.
2023 up 153%. But if you miss the best 10 days, 7.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably even worse than that, because let's be honest, for the majority of us, if we try to trade, we don't just miss the best 10 days. We sell low and buy high. So
yeah.
It's even worse than
we catch the 100 worst days.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. So I want to show you, I was like, okay, well, 2017 is pretty insane. And that 235 has got to be doing you a bit of a favor. So I was like, what if we start from 2018? So you start in the bear market and then you just drop $1,000 and you just hold on for the ride for 8 years. And so with that, you sit there from 2018 to 2025, $1,000. By the end, you've got $13,810. Okay, that's pretty solid. So what happens if you miss the best 10 days of every year? You would have $1.36. You lost 99.86% of everything. You got wiped out. You got destroyed.
Amazing.
And then
that is amazing. Well, in the first year, you lost 90%.
Yeah.
You're at $100.
let's go back and let's include 2017 and see what that looks like. And I don't want to. Okay, so $1,000 for a decade there turned into 203.5 grand. So you did amazing. What happened if you missed the best 10 days? You did have the 250% on 2017. So instead of 203 grand, you would have $8.48.
Dude.
So the lesson
Time in
here,
the market is better than timing the market.
yeah, if you're sitting there, you're panicking and you're like, fuck, should I sell right now and sit out the bear market? And when I see it start to shoot up, buy back in. There's your answer. Just look at that. Sit on your thumb and do nothing. It is the hardest thing to do, but just sit there, guys. Like, chill. I don't know what else to say.
It's not easy, but it is simple.
Yeah, exactly. So, gents, I wanted to start the show with that to kind of set the frame for some of the newbies in the room. But we're just gonna dive into it. I know it's fun being bullish in in days like these or weeks like these. But I want to find out why you guys are still bulls. But I do want to start by dropping a little tidbit on the audience, and that is that this is, man, Odell said right before the show, man, it really is a bear market. This is the second last episode of Why Are We Bullish? So we got
not bullish anymore.
Yeah, we're still gonna be here. There's gonna be a show, but we got something special brewing. There's a change up in format, and there's gonna be some familiar faces that are part of it. And so you're gonna have to tune in on February 18th to see what the new thing is. So swing by and do that. Guy Swann.
What's the title? Bullish we are.
Change up.
And I do want to congratulate Swann. Guy, you've been fighting tooth and nail to make sure you are always the most visited, frequented guest here on Why Are We Bullish? And so you will round out the entire run of Why Are We Bullish with a massive 15 episodes on here. So you have been crowned grand champion of Why Are We Bullish. Congratulations.
Hell yeah. Thank you. Dude, where do I receive my award?
Yeah, well, I'll
There you go.
once I can afford something, I'll get something. But with that honor, you get
Give me an NFT.
Yeah, exactly.
I hear those are really affordable. You could just make a bunch of those.
They're free. You get the honors this evening. I'm going to give you first go at why you're bullish. So I'm going to give you the main stage. Guy, why are you still bullish? Are you?
Are you still bullish? No. So one of the things I really think so we kind of went through like a little piddly like cycle. And so you can almost call it a cycle because we had an up and we've got it down to go with it. But I really think we're kind of in the phase where, one of the things I've noticed with all that I've been through, I don't know what, 4 or 5 bull bear market cycles now. I don't know, a bunch. And one of the things I've always noticed is that there's an enormous amount of building in the bear market. And then you finally get to see all these tools release and start being used and kind of start seeing their network effects like in the run up, basically in the next, or kind of towards the end of the bear market, they start getting released and they start to see a little bit of momentum, and then they get a lot of excitement during the hype cycle. We really kind of skipped that step. We didn't really have that yet. We have an enormous amount of building. We have enormous amount of like testing of new tools and new things being implemented, but we're still like, I think we're in a longer infrastructure stage. And I also kind of think that the 4-year cycle is over. The idea of this like constant, like predictable cycle, it got really predictable. The pattern became obvious. And then we opened up into an enormous amount of liquidity. I just think that means the pattern's dead. And I think that's why we have this really kind of like messy price environment is we opened up into a lot of liquidity. And so if you see like the 5 to 7 year UTXO set, there are a lot of people cleaning house. There are a lot of people, and 5 to 7 years is that perfect time in which there are probably very, very wealthy people getting into Bitcoin who were looking at this more of as a portfolio strategy, as like a risky thing that has a high possible return. So, and that was the first time that I heard about like billionaires being like, you know, the Mexican billionaire or whatever. And like people were actually getting in. So if they're putting in 5% of their portfolio and they don't have the liquidity to actually get out, then Bitcoin does a 10x and then another 10x during that time. You know, we're looking at like 2018 era. Then suddenly it's in traditional markets. You have ETFs, you have $3 billion worth of liquidity a day. Well, that's when you rebalance your portfolio, because your 5% high risk just became 80% or 90% of your portfolio. And now you need to offload and you need to bring it back down to 10 or 15, you know, whatever it is that you feel safe doing. And I kind of think that's the era that we're in. And I think it not only broke the pattern, but everybody was expecting 2025 to be the big ass green candle, because that's what it is in the 4-year pattern. And everybody hedged that way and they leveraged that way. And when it didn't happen, they were forced selling pressure. And so now we're having this little, I genuinely kind of think we're going to have this little, we're going to also have a piddly little like, oh, we're bear market and it's going to suck for 3 years again. No, I think it's going to be kind of like a short term, and it's going to kick people in the nuts in the reverse direction. And then we're going to be sideways for a little bit, and then we're going to start seeing substantial growth or strong growth again. And well, I think it's going to, it always starts slow, right? But also I think it's giving us the time to actually release our infrastructure tools, like the things that we are building. And I think the next major run actually won't just be a random hype cycle. It will be when like Bitcoin has touched like 1% or 2% of like 10 different industries. Like it's like slowly starting to make its place and all this stuff, but it's never actually disrupted anything. It's never actually disrupted an industry. Like BitTorrent, like effed the copyright industry and totally effed the broadcast industry. And it wasn't until that happened that like the internet was really shaking things up. Bitcoin has not had its day yet. It has not touched the first thing. But here's the thing, is that as soon as it starts making a move to disrupt a single industry with a single use case, like a specific way that Bitcoin is being used to accomplish something that other tools can't provide, then the next thing that it can actually be a part of, or the next thing that it can actually disrupt, is easy. Like, you know, like it's like social media was never going to disrupt the internet until you had a smartphone. Like until you had something in your hands that could really connect everybody at all times. And similarly, you have to have the infrastructure in place. Simply the onboarding to Bitcoin has not been good enough to actually make Bitcoin disrupt anything, because the barrier to even begin to be in the industry is too high. And I think people have discounted how much we've incrementally knocked it down and knocked it down and knocked it down and knocked it down. And when we have another cycle, it's going to start, it's going to start a disruption cycle, and it can cascade. Money is the everything app. It doesn't, there's nothing that it doesn't touch, and there's nothing that it won't disrupt. And once it goes in one place, it can make a move in the second one twice as easy, and in the third one 80% easier than that. And I think we start looking at very, very long cycles and very, very large transitions that just stretch out. And I'm looking at what that tool is going to be, or what that potential is going to be. And I'm kind of jazzed.
do you have an inclination? Like, do you have like maybe
I hope it's gonna be pair drive, but I don't know. I'm trying to build a thing too. So but hold on a second. I got my pizzas at the door. I haven't eaten them. 10 o'clock in the morning, so I'll be right back.
The important delivery, man.
What do you mean by pizzas, guy?
Yeah,
pizzas.
Ooh,
pizzas, steak with cheese. Yeah. No, I'll be right
back. Brandon, I'll toss it to you. Any thoughts on what Guy had to say here?
Yeah, I wish he was here to defend himself, but I'm not buying it. In my opinion, friction of onboarding has almost nothing to do with it, or penetration in industry has almost nothing to do with it. I think the reality here is that volatility is Bitcoin's product from day one. We can sugarcoat it all we want, but until now, it's greed and volatility that drives adoption. And over the last, call it year, 18 months, whatever we call that window, Bitcoin was not the volatility king. Bitcoin was taking second, third fiddle to AI, gold and silver catching a bid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Personally, the amount of normie inbound was all-time low this cycle. Every other cycle, hundreds. Like I walk through 100 plus every cycle. I think I maybe got 510 this year. I also wasn't trying as hard, so maybe that plays a role, but I don't think so. I think by and large, volatility's out, buyers are out, Bitcoin's boring, etc. Like there's not that many people that want to learn about monetary theory or debasement or this or that. People are heads down, they're screaming on the internet. Yeah, so that's my take. And Guy, I shut down your ideas. I think it's volatility is gone, and your ideas are nice, but I think they're minority.
I mean, that's why you're bearish, but why are you bullish?
Well, I was just responding to Guy.
Oh, we're just supposed to respond to him.
Yeah. I
think
want
that's pretty bearish.
Well, I think volatility is down. That's what kind of what I was meaning about, like stretching it out a lot.
How much?
Agree.
How
But
much of,
that's why we're not seeing a big cycle. If volatility is down and AI and metals are the new shiny object, the buyers aren't getting engaged. That's
how much.
Yeah, we're past the orange pill people into like buying Bitcoin. Like you're 100% right. It's not the shiny thing anymore. And that's why I think it's specifically like moves that do have like strong growth will only come from an application.
But how much of that is because of the volatility almost being extracted by like the Bitcoin stocks? Like this cycle was dominated by the MicroStrategies, right?
Yeah.
And if you think about it too, it's like you look at like sentiment. I haven't felt sentiment like this. I've been in Bitcoin for way too long, and the sentiment is really, really bad right now. And then you look at the Bitcoin price chart, and we're not even down 50% yet. But then you look at NUNCHUK's price chart or Metaplanet's price chart, and you start to realize, why sentiment might be that way. And I heard the L word get brought up, leverage. Well, people were leverage on leverage, right? Like Metaplanet itself is a leverage play, and then people were borrowing in their Charles Schwab accounts or whatever against that leverage play and doubling up on it. So a lot of the volatility went there. And then as a result, Bitcoin seems less attractive, right? If you're a poor person trying to find your next big break, you're not going to play Bitcoin because you don't think you can get 100x on it. And then as a result, it fucks over the treasury companies. So they kind of ended up, it was a negative feedback loop that hurt themselves in a lot of ways, I think.
This is the first cycle where I've heard, again, because a lot of people are just so nihilistic in general. Like in normie land, it's like, I'm never going to get ahead. The only way that I could possibly make it is like hitting the lottery or some sort of like extreme gamble. But Bitcoin is not, like you were saying, not volatile enough to be that gamble. It's like, I need something else. It's no longer compelling. They're like, oh, if it were to double, like, what the hell does that do for me? I can only afford to put in like a few $100 at a time, maybe. And like, what does that help? And so like, people don't see it as a rescue plan or anything like that.
The meme template of, you have 6 months to figure shit out. Otherwise you're stuck in the permanent underclass. Like every good meme is based in reality. And that's the vibe I get from a lot of people right now. You're either completely checked out or you think as high time preference as possible. It's not purely high time preference, right? Because you're kind of thinking long term. You're like, I'm going to be stuck in the permanent underclass. But it's like, I got to get shit done today. Like it has to happen in the next 6 months. Otherwise I'm fucked, which that's not true, but that's the feeling people have.
Yeah, that's fair.
Couple of quick points. Sentiment, Mac, right off of your point there. I agree sentiment's bad, but how much can we attribute this to the fact that we have Nostr and Twitter? Elon changed the algorithm. So when I go do my daily check the Bitcoin chatter, I see a really small percentage of people talking about it. And how much of that is just our perception of is sentiment bad? That's just a question. I don't know the answer. The other thing on sentiment is expectations, right? We're not down to the depths, but everyone thought we were going way higher and we didn't. And so that delta always causes more pain. Any response there, Matt? Otherwise, I got one more treasury.
To be fair, first of all, yeah, I mean, like I think the 4-year cycles are broken-ish, and I've been a 4-year cycle guy, but just from the top being, you know, very anticlimactic, especially if you price it in gold. Like we just didn't have the bull run that you typically have in a quote unquote 4-year cycle in the past. Now we are having this bear at around the same time, and we had our run up around the same time that we see in the previous 4-year cycles, but we just didn't get the top we'd get. Now I would say that this is my, if you count 2 cycles in 2013, 2017 run, 2020, 21 run, and this run, that's 4 or 5 cycles, depending. Like 2013 really did feel like 2 cycles. But anyway, my point is every time we hit a top, I thought we were going higher. And I think most people do. So I would discount that piece. Yes, everyone got caught flat-footed in the 126 range when we topped. But no matter where we topped, 90% of people were going to get flat-footed on it. Regardless, I will say, like, look, I think to me, and I could be wrong, but to me, Bitcoin has always been a safe haven asset, right? And I was always like, when will the world wake up to Bitcoin being on a hedge on poor governance and corruption and whatnot? And that's what we're seeing play out right now in macro land. But when you sell people a stock in their portfolio, it's just strictly not a safe haven asset. When all the excitement is about Bitcoin treasury companies or even IBIT, then of course you're thinking of it as like a high risk tech stock. You're not thinking of it as a safe haven because it's not a safe haven. And I think that's where that's where at least this macro cycle, this liquidity cycle, like Bitcoin got left behind in a lot of ways because any new money that came in just didn't think of it that way. And they're trading it like it's high risk. And maybe they're right, at least right now.
But don't you think new people always come in to make money and then hopefully they learn the values and then they take self-custody and then they see it as a safe haven?
I don't know, because when I got in, it was like WikiLeaks and the banks, Wall Street, like what is it called? Occupy Wall Street and WikiLeaks and Snowden. And it was like very much like an anti-institution play. And then I think a lot of people got in the 2020 range, like COVID response, all that shit, truckers, and Bitcoin was against that. And then this cycle, we just like,
I agree with that.
no one got intro to Bitcoin in that direction. It was just open up your Schwab account and buy this hotel company that's stacking Bitcoin.
Yeah, a couple on that one. So I host a meetup in Minneapolis. Matt said he would come, still hasn't come. We'll deal with that later. But
it's true.
The best meetup in the country. It's the best room. It's the best whiskey. So a lot to like. But a little anecdote. Last December, I get a text from some dude in our group like, "Hey, dude, punter Jeff's coming to Minneapolis. You got to get him to speak." And I'm like, "Okay, who's that?" And he's like, "You don't know punter Jeff? You got to get him." And I was like, "All right, I trust the guy. Fine, book the speaker. It's annoying to book speakers every month for 6.5 years. Book him." I show up to the room and I see the biggest meetup I've ever hosted. And I don't even know half the people in there. And I'm like, what? Did they sell a room to some corporate event? Who are all these people? And then I realized that there are hordes of treasury company fans and they filled the room. Haven't seen them since. And yeah, after kind of combing the room, talking to people, whatever, a whole bunch of people made a shitload of money on MicroStrategy. And they didn't know they knew a little bit about Bitcoin, and maybe half of them had some Bitcoin, but it was definitely MicroStrategy first. And so that's one point on your side there, Matt, that they sucked out the juice. On the other hand, though, was there really enough volume going into those things? You know what I mean? Like on a cycle scale, how much retail money, let's say, or not retail money, went into those, and does that actually chop the legs off the cycle?
I mean,
it
there was
does.
enough to buy like what he's like up like 300,000 Bitcoin in the last like 2-3 years or something like that. You know, I think one of the pieces that like caught a lot of people off guard is like, at least narrative wise, the idea was that, oh, it's institutions buying these things and it's net new people. It's like people that wouldn't buy Bitcoin otherwise. But I don't think that was the case. I mean, I don't know how we could ever calculate it. But my gut says that the majority of volume that went into MicroStrategy, MetaPlanet, all of these guys, right, was people that would have bought Bitcoin otherwise, and then instead they bought the stock.
I agree
And
with
then the
that. It
stock
wasn't
has like a
really-
delay before it buys Bitcoin. It's not quite the same thing. Like it, strictly speaking, like if what you care about is like market dynamics and structure, it would probably be strictly better for those to all be individual stackers that are stacking ideally to self-custody. But even if they're not stacking to self-custody, I think you'd have more upward buy pressure and you'd have a more stable foundation in the the market structure.
I agree. And all the people who got rinsed on those, their tails between their legs. So are they going to be buying this year if they just got rinsed last
They
year?
have no money.
That's right. And also in general, retail average Americans don't have any investable income.
Right.
This is
There
kind of
a lot of
truism
poor people
over time, but like since COVID, we created a new high watermark or new low watermark for prices on everything. So normies are squeezed hard. Also, that's why we see socialism, tax the rich, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's all a byproduct, in my opinion, of the economic inequality. There's no American dream, so people look for solutions. Just like every other time in history, we end up in the same situation. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things here. Yeah, I mean, you're right. People don't have disposable income to be really putting anywhere. I'm looking at. I mean, it's even in Canada, it's really bad right now in terms of cost of living. Like you guys have it bad, but you know, Canadian house prices are effectively double what yours is, and all of Canada in terms of like take home income versus expenses, all of that, we are poorer than your poorest state. The entirety of Canada, even like our provinces that are doing the best are poorer than your poorest state. Like it's pretty dire. I think there was a stat recently that 1 in 4 people in Canada is using the food bank in some way, shape, or form. Like it's horrific. And yeah, things are going sideways. Now, on the other side of that, as it pertains to Odell, what you were saying, we didn't get the introduction of like Bitcoin is being used for this reason, like a self-sovereignty type reason. So Alberta is currently collecting signatures to trigger a referendum vote to separate from Canada. I went to an event a week and a half ago. It was packed, massive. They're popping up all over the province. The way it works is they need to collect enough signatures to represent 10% of the populace that voted in the last election, which is 177,000 signatures. They are easily going to attain that. When they do, they have till May. That will basically trigger the fact that we need to then vote on the topic of whether we stay in Canada. That would likely, our premier has said that will probably be in the fall if it happens. The interesting thing is the group that has been rallying for this and kind of setting this up, they released kind of an economic plan that I wasn't privy to, addressing like, well, how do we deal with how do we deal with all of these different economic factors? Like what happens to pensions? What happens to this, that, and the other thing? Well, in the document on like page 22 of like 40 something pages, they outline, well, what would we do for currency? and what would like the Alberta dollar look like. And they were very explicit in talking about how they didn't want a fiat currency and how they wanted to back it with a combination of gold, oil, and Bitcoin. And so I was like, who the fuck wrote this? And I'm like contacting, like, who is this? And the talk I went to, the couple of the main people on stage, one, Jeff Rath, one is a guy named Mitch, who basically spearheaded the signatures and the collection of everything. Both of them on stage are talking about, like, you know, when you go to the grocery store and you can't afford stuff anymore, it's not that things are more expensive, it's that your dollar is able to purchase less. And so they're like tuning into the why of why everybody's so screwed. But what myself and Nathan and a number of people on the team here that are actually in Alberta are doing is we're linking up with all the people for the Alberta separatist movement, saying, listen, we all saw what happened with the trucker protests. The second that Canada didn't like something that was, you know, a peaceful protest, they started shutting down bank accounts. They started cutting people off financially. And even though it wasn't perfect, Bitcoin was the only thing that actually got into the hands of truckers. Everything else got confiscated. So we've been going around setting people up with wallets and hardware and showing them Nostr and starting to kind of say, like, listen, if Canada would do that to protesters in the capital, what do you think they're going to do when it push really comes to shove and it looks like they're going to lose a province? It's not going to be nice. And so what happens then? And so, yeah, we're actively kind of, and maybe that becomes
putting up some defense. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
well, Canada doesn't have a military, right?
I think West Edmonton Mall has more submarines than our military.
Is it true that your armed forces ride moose into combat?
Yeah, always. They're not even trained. They'll pick them out of the forest and just go.
Angry forest moose.
Yeah,
dude, don't fuck with moose.
No,
for sure.
Those things are dinosaurs. You seen how big this shit?
They'll fuck you up.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my little insert of there may be some interesting Bitcoin related shit later this year, but we shall see. We shall see.
That's something to be bullish about, though. Max pain equals people look for solutions. Right now, they're finding socialism, but if we do a better job, maybe they'll find Bitcoin.
Exactly. Okay, so gents, I'll put a bow on this one. We're gonna do a rotation. Odell, I'm gonna have you up next. I'm gonna say a quick little shout out. Thanks to sponsors of the show. We'll be 1 minute, and then we'll be right back. Everybody, if you're enjoying the convo, please do drop a like, and we'll see you guys in just a sec here. Bitcoin Well is the best place to be buying and selling Bitcoin in Canada and the US. And now with Bitcoin Well Infinite, it's also the best place to be making large buys at their OTC desk of over $50,000. Their white glove service gives you fast transactions, no slippage, and the lowest fees. You can scan the QR code on the screen or simply head to bitcoinwell.com/BTC Sessions to sign up today. And you can share your own personalized referral link to earn commissions. CoinKite has been in the game for years, creating hands down the best and most secure hardware when it comes to securing your Bitcoin. The Cold Card Q is an absolute powerhouse and my daily driver, and it's ideal for newcomers and advanced users alike. The Tap Signer gives you a low-cost, user-friendly option for those just getting started or for convenience when traveling. You can head to coinkite.com and use code BTC Sessions for discounts, or simply scan the QR code on the screen to get started right away. One company I like pointing people to when they ask about Bitcoin mining is Abundant Mines. They were founded by Bo and Christine Turner after losing over $500,000 to broken promises in the mining industry. And they built their hosting model to remove the usual headaches. With Abundant Mines, you own your machines and keep 100% of the Bitcoin you mine. There's no revenue share, no hidden skims. Pricing is simple. One flat monthly fee covers power, parts, labor, and repairs. They also guarantee uptime. If a machine goes down, their hash rate redirect system routes hash power from their fleet so earnings don't just stop, and every machine is insured at full replacement value. Everything is hosted in the US, powered by Hydro, and mining equipment may qualify for 100% year one bonus depreciation. Learn more at abundantmines.com/sessions. We've got a chat in the background and we're trying to wheel and deal trades between Alberta and Minnesota. We'll see how it goes. Brandon, are you going to jump ship if that happens?
Hell no.
I mean, I guess if it's a trade, it's not like I'd have to deal with Minnesota. So.
I was trolling Brandon in our chat that we would trade Minnesota for Alberta, but I didn't mean it.
Yeah, I mean,
take it back.
You send us all your oil and gas workers from Alberta, and we'll send you all of our Somalian entrepreneurs.
Put them in Ontario, please.
Every one of our daycares to help out.
There you go.
Our birth rate's way down. We do not need that many daycares.
Neither do we.
We don't need this many either. There aren't any kids there. It doesn't matter.
All right, gents. Odell, you are up. I'm going to be giving you the same question that everybody gets. Why are you, if you are, bullish?
If you are bullish, I mean, look, you picked a very bearish day to have the show, which is always the best. It's always the best case scenario, and it's an honor and a privilege to be on the second to the last one. But look, I think first and foremost, Bitcoin, as far as the macro situation goes, Bitcoin was made for this moment. Like, this is why Bitcoin exists. People are losing hope. They don't see opportunity. Governments, big tech, working together often are, closing in on us and taking away our opportunity and sovereignty to live our lives. And Bitcoin was made for this moment. I think the gold and silver runs specifically show that there is a lot of concern on the macro side. I think anyone who thinks there's not enough money to add purchasing power to Bitcoin, add price to Bitcoin, is out of their fucking mind when you see how gold has run, just straight up. But I will take my moment to focus on one specific use case and trend I'm watching right now. And that's, I've been just diving deep into this Claude-bot, Molt-bot, OpenClaw, viral trend that everyone's like getting excited about. And it's pretty fucking crazy. Like, this idea of having basically like your own little personal soulless computer slave that does all these things for you.
Can you give me the TLDR on what that was? Like, because I saw it pop up, but I don't know the full story of what those screen caps were.
It's very simple open source tooling that open source tooling you have locally, right? And so you can give it all this different information. All of that stays local to you. So you have like your little robot butler that's in your house running from, ideally like a home server. A lot of people are buying Mac minis. I think it's a lot of what the vision of like a Start 9 has been since the beginning. And then you are able to connect it to a bunch of different aspects of your life, all different types of accounts. And then the back end is whatever LLM you want to use. So you can use like the top tier big tech LLMs. Obviously, they're going to get a bunch of your information if you're pinging them. But if you have a souped up local computer, you can also use a local LLM where you're self-hosting like an open source model. But the cool part here is like basically the agent is the UI, right? So then a lot of people are connecting to Telegram. I use Signal specifically for myself. But you connect it to like your chat of choice, iMessage, Signal, Telegram, Slack, Discord, and then you're communicating with it, via text or voice notes. Like, I really like doing voice notes. You like send it a voice note, like, do this thing for me. And there's an interesting aspect here. First of all, the agent, right? The robot, the soulless robot slave is the UI, right? The UI, like the idea of point and click it maybe it's not over yet, but it will be over. It's not going to be point and click. It's going to be you're talking to your robot assistant, and it's going to do things for you. It's going to book flights and set up, business reports and shit like that. Do your taxes. But then the second, and what's cool about this is, for the longest time, right, you have, different services and stuff will offer APIs. That's the easiest way for like robots to communicate with each other, for software to communicate with each other. But what's interesting here is it's kind of like Elon's vision of like the first set of robots need to be humanoids, because otherwise we need to retrofit all the warehouses. Like, this model is really interesting because you don't actually need an API key. It's better if you have API keys for what you want to use it with, but you can also just be like, log into this service, log into Delta, here's my username and password, and book my fucking flight. And Delta doesn't have to actually change anything on their side for the agent to actually use this thing. But on that note, to get the full usefulness out of it, there's all the, there's blockers everywhere. It's like you're like constantly trying to gain access to this service, and then it's like, are you a robot? And it's like, it is a robot. Oh, how do I get around that? Or like, oh, we need to KYC you, so add your credit card information, do this, do that. And this is where open protocols like Bitcoin really, really fucking shine. So what I think is going to happen on that front is, I think we're moving there, and we're moving there at an accelerated pace. And I think probably what's going to happen is big tech specifically is going to try and pigeonhole stable coins into it, USD tokens into it all. Like, it's just strictly better. Like, you're not going to, the whole credit card scheme is just fucking insane in a robot world. It just does not work. And they'll move to stable coins first. There's a bunch of rent seeking that can be done on top of stable coins. Tether is one of the most valuable companies in the world, by just holding treasuries and not giving that interest back to users. And users don't ask for the interest because they're providing significant utility to them. So let's start with stable coins. All the big tech, we already see all the big tech companies all releasing their own stable coins, or like partnering with Circle, the American stable coin, even though Tether's absolutely dominating them. And then eventually I think it moves to Bitcoin, because what happens is that's still centralized. It'll get frozen. There'll be all these different bureaucratic bullshit that they're going to have to deal with because it's centralized, and Bitcoin was made for that moment. And I think, if I'm going to go full bullish, like, I don't think this is just bullish for Bitcoin. Like, there's a path here where all of a sudden, all sorts of freedom-oriented software, right? Guy was talking about PairDrive. Obviously, I've been heavily focused on Nostr. Become the actual lower friction way of people using these tools. Like, they actually, the most bullish outcome would be if people using freedom tech have an advantage over those that don't, because historically it's been the exact opposite. And specifically in this AI wave, up until now, it has been the opposite. It's like, if you sign up to ChatGPT, do a full docs, and upload all your life to it, and just let Sam Altman see all of your data, like, you have an advantage over the human that doesn't do that. At least you have a short-term advantage over the human that doesn't do that. And if that's the case, then you're not going to see that many people adopt the freedom tools. But if the freedom tools give you more capability and less friction, and they're easier to use, then people will use them, and they'll get freedom as a side effect. And I'm not saying it's the most likely outcome, but it's more likely in my mind than it's ever been in the past. Like, it's kind of like a paradigm shift type of moment that the last time I really felt that was when I found Bitcoin in the first place.
I love that. That's super interesting. I'm wondering, so I find that I have so little time to dive into the AI side of things that I feel hideously unaware of even what tools are available to me. So like, have you guys been dicking around with this already? Like what's the lowest hanging fruit? What should I be trying on?
I have,
I got
my
my
bot right now is trading on LN markets.
Is it?
Which is probably going to be a horrible idea, but he's in a competition with Marty's bot. Marty's bot's currently winning right now. But like obviously, like, LN markets is centralized, right? But they have no KYC, and they use Bitcoin as the standard. And then all of a sudden you mix all these pieces together, and that's where to me, like, the light really starts to go off.
I connected mine to ppq.ai. They have an API. And I connected mine to that one today. and gave it a budget. And with PPQ, it's run by Matt Alborg, and they take Lightning. You can connect to basically any model that you want. So I basically said, like, here's your budget. And one of the first things we did, I was like, why don't you pick out like a good image model, or maybe even just try a bunch of different ones. Try to make sure you spend less than like $1.50, maybe $2 or whatever up there. But get me a good profile image for you. And it was like, oh, this is great. This is, I'm going to play around with this a lot. I have so many tools here. And I was like, he was like, what kind of thing do you want? And he gave me like 5 different examples of like style or whatever. And I was like, just give me 4 examples, 5 examples of every one of them. Just literally just go to town, have fun, and see what happens. And like, I got like 24 examples for like profile images. And then I just picked one. And, but I managed to get this up and running while I was at Plan B. I got the computer before I left, and then I was rust desking in to like try to get everything set up. But it's like, it's crazy useful. Like immediately I'm super disorganized when it comes to like calendar and email and like that sort of stuff. And the reason you don't have to get a Mac Mini, but like I want to isolate this thing because it's like, it's got pseudo access. It's got, like you can just give it full reign of a computer, and like, it's a bit of a security nightmare.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit of a security nightmare. So I'm making it all of its own accounts. I'm pushing the email to it because I already read a story about somebody who accidentally deleted their entire email because they like rm-rf like when in like a command. And so like it doesn't have write access to anything. It just has read access to all of its stuff, and I just push it stuff. Which actually makes it really useful to pair drive because I can just push files and that sort of stuff to it too. Which, by the way, Odell, pair drive uses Nostr. So Nostr is the idea.
Yeah, I know. I saw the slide at least.
Okay, that's cool. Right. Yeah.
It uses Nostr for identity, which makes a lot of sense to me.
It makes it so much easier. We don't have to build stuff.
Yeah, just the piece. Like, so what chat app are you using to communicate with your little robot slave?
Telegram right now.
Yeah, so that piece, right? It was so difficult to set up with Signal because Signal is a centralized service that is trying to keep robots out of it from using it. I had to create a burner phone number. There's a whole issue, right? Now, to me, there's like a perfect use case for something like Keat, right? It's like peer-to-peer to my robot. I don't have to, hole punch handles everything. You don't have to deal with it. So there's like all these different little pieces.
Me and Jarvis are building a thing.
Yeah, there's all these different little pieces where Freedom Tech actually is the easier option, right? I mean, Telegram would probably be an exception here because it's actually exceedingly easy to set up Telegram with it. And it's basically spyware, and people shouldn't be using it. But there's all these different opportunities where Freedom Tech actually makes the tool much more powerful. And there's a piece here too, which I mean, I think should be pretty obvious to people, but like you can't use Semler Scientific with this. Like you have to actually use Bitcoin. This is a perfect example of a use case of Bitcoin that you cannot sell on Schwab. Like you have to actually go and figure out how to use real Bitcoin and spend it.
Yeah, I love that.
That's follow up for you, Matt. So the argument is the agents will use Bitcoin long term. I think that makes sense. And there's no KYC, there's no friction, whatever. I think that makes sense. It feels like the advantage you were pointing at there, and let me know if you agree, is you can just send dollars or Bitcoin out of your agent's account over Lightning Network, and then the merchant receives Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, or
what the merchant receives dollars, meaning you don't have to do any push merchant adoption online. The agent can ship dollars all over through Lightning Network, a la Strike or whatever. Is that the argument essentially?
Yeah, but it's also not just robot to robot. Like if I need to pay my robot for something, or if he needs to give me the proceeds of something, like it needs to be Bitcoin. Like you can't use a credit card for it. You could use USD tokens for it, and that's probably where we'll see the first integrations.
Yeah.
But I think eventually, like Bitcoin is, Bitcoin fixes the third party risk that is, at the core of the issue with USD tokens. And I think at scale, we'll start to see, that become more obvious in terms of seizures and freezing and uptime. you know,
Yeah.
Bitcoin doesn't have the uptime issue.
I hope so, but defending big tech here, I think they have a strong hand, because let's say it's USDC. They're going to make that experience very easy to use inside their little box, right? So for the median American, the only thing they need to use their agent for is out of the box through Stripe or through whatever, right? And I think Bitcoin still ends up for the gray market.
But the problem is,
right?
I think that could be the case if we lived in an environment where there was no regulatory burden. But I think the question, you know, and then you kind of have like free market banking with a U.S. Treasury backed free market banking. But I don't think regulators can keep their hands off of it. Like what happens when
I think we don't
you know,
have
your
that much time before
your robot
regulation
has
cracks down
what?
hard on stable coins.
Yeah, exactly. Your robot has $5,000 in it and it gets frozen. You remember the early days of when we got involved with Bitcoin? Like the best advertisements was PayPal closing merchant accounts. And that has taken a little bit of a backseat. Like they've been a little bit less aggressive about it, I think, recently, because they've gone more in like the surveillance side. It's like, oh, we'll track every $600 payment in Venmo. But I mean, I see it all the time. Like we live in a Venmo society now, right? We live in a Zelle and Venmo-based society. And, you know, I was trying to pay a contractor who wanted Zelle, and like Zelle has a $2,000 limit through whatever my bank partnership is. It's like, that is just, especially in a high inflation environment, it's like not useful for a productive person. And like
like going to the grocery store twice.
Yeah, the robot's going to be managing tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I just don't see regulators allowing that to happen in the controlled system. Like, I just don't think that's going to be the play. But if it is, that would also be great, you know, for society. Like if you could make an easy, centralized $100,000 payment without getting your funds frozen, that would be great. I just don't think that's going to be the
So, I mean, as it pertains to all these systems, like if what I'm getting at is, will people be running this stuff themselves though? Like in terms of if there is any sort of centralized point that can be clamped down upon, like if you're using an AI related service and you're not running your Mac Mini and you're not doing that, like, are there points? What are, I guess, what are the most likely points of saying, no, you're not allowed to even accept this type of payment as a business, as an entity? Like, is that type of stuff where they clamp down? Is that the pinch point?
Related question: can't you just have your agent? Can I give my agent my credit card number and then they just?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
But like, I just the setup is not set up for robots. And if anything, it's trying to do the opposite. They're like constantly trying to stop robots from using their shit. I just think it's gonna, yeah, maybe that's the first step. The first step is like,
here's the problem with that.
If I give the robot my Delta thing and it's just gonna, it can just book flights with my saved credit card. And then what happens with fraud and chargebacks and all that shit? Like, how do you handle that situation?
I was about to say is when you have AI bots and people are like able to send credit card payments or debit card payments like very quickly, and AI is trying to do this at an insane pace to just like manage things, like the fraud goes up so because you're letting bots in. You're letting bots in, and this is what they have to stop. And the fraud's getting worse at like a couple of % every single year. And like we're in like, I think it was like last year's like 80 billion or some psycho number of just like chargebacks and fraud payments. And that is only going to get worse. And when everybody's using agents, like you can't get paid. You can't, a normal person like me, like if I was providing a service, I can't get paid credit cards and debit cards sustainably with like my bot. Like that's just never going to happen. And
true. You fat finger it once. You say, I didn't say buy 3 tickets. I said buy 300 tickets. Whoops. Right.
Yeah. And then just how would I personally deal with chargebacks? You know, I'm gonna have a business account, like, and I'm gonna have I'm gonna have to, you know, do a Honeybook or whatever service or Stripe or something like that, and then I got like all these fees and this setup and stuff. Or I could literally just download, be like Jarvis, install Breeze SDK, and just like have an address. You know, like I'm not. I've done all those other things, and I'm still just not going to do it. You know what I mean? Like it just, and not to mention that the cost and burden of sorting it out if I did, because I think it was, I can't remember who it was. Oh my God, but he was doing a point of sale thing and he was integrating Bitcoin or whatnot. And he hadn't even thought of, like, he talked about it and like sold like, oh yeah, and there's no chargebacks and all this stuff. But they have like this big system and this management thing where they deal with like something like 10% of their payments and stuff. They have a whole apparatus for dealing with chargebacks and like fraud payments. And then he just had this moment where he just like stopped when he was like really deep into this. And he was like, the whole side of like our Bitcoin and Lightning, like this just doesn't even exist. Like we've built an entire structure of a system to deal with this on the fiat side. And it's a nightmare and it still costs us a fortune always because we get paid. And then 18 days later, it's taken back. And he was like, and then
than that. Like,
no, I know.
Yeah.
It's so wild. And when it's just not sustainable. It's just not sustainable. It hasn't been for a long time. And when you can have, my Jarvis can do a CAPTCHA, you know, and I think that's going to cascade against them. I think the percentage of it just keeps going up and up. And like all our information is out there too. And it's going to be so much easier to harvest. The friction is just going to be astronomical.
Strike, one comment there if I can, Ben. Strike put out their annual report, like what do we care about? What are our problems? Number one is payment fraud. That's true. I don't know if it's our number one problem at Swann, but we have a whole team dedicated to dealing with this at Swann. Chargeback on accident, or 100 people from an Eastern European country create Swann accounts, they season them for 6 months, act like normal users, then 100 people get activated immediately and they all charge back, and we don't find out for 30 days, you know? And so massive cost, right? But I don't know if you can, like, what does that mean? That means that the businesses who have to deal with chargeback increase their prices. You know what I mean? So I don't think it stops dollars or credit or whatever, like deferred settlement payments on AI rails. They just find a way to build that cost into it, right? And I'm on team final settlement with Bitcoin, no question, but I'm just thinking from the masses point of view. And I think a company like Stripe could just make them they'll be the API backend for your chat bot, and they'll have approved vendors, which they're already building. And so money moves final settlement in the Stripe network. If you go out of Stripe network, then you're using ACH, but everything's cleared inside the Stripe network, right?
I mean, yeah, to be clear, like I think that's where we start. Yeah. And I think USD tokens get mixed in as we go further down the adoption curve. But to be clear here, like, I mean, there's going to be millions, if not billions of people that use like the cucked controlled version of what we're talking about here. But if you want your robot to have superpowers,
totally agree.
Then you're going to send them a Bitcoin transaction and you're going to say, go pay for the services that you need and get this shit done and make no mistakes. And I don't want to deal with it. You're going to deal with all of that. And then when you have proceeds, you're going to send me back the proceeds of Bitcoin. And we're not going to deal with any of the traditional banking system. And that person will have an advantage over those who don't do that. And that is a flip of the script, because historically, those of us have chose the freedom-oriented path have had a disadvantage in a lot of situations.
Yeah. And I think also when you actually have the capability to use like freedom-oriented technology where you're not paying for a platform fee and you can just accept Bitcoin directly, Bitcoin and Lightning, and you know, you're on Nostr or whatever, like that friction, just Brandon, just like you said, that friction is going to increase, the chargebacks are going to increase, and the prices are going to increase. And then at the exact same time as the general price is going to increase, so are platform fees, for having to do more KYC, for having to scan everybody's stupid face. So it's going to take them 20 minutes to make an account and then wait 2 days for approval just to get through the door and start. And then they're also going to have everything's going to be more expensive on the inside, and they're only going to be able to go to approved vendors and stuff. But when you're 14 and you want to do something cool on the internet and you just want to make it work or whatever, like what happens when the competitor is on an open network and it is a bootstrap, it's a feedback process, obviously. Like it takes a lot of time. You onboard people into the crappy, like controlled, but then they get a little touch of Bitcoin. And then what's the price when you don't have the platform fee, when you don't have the chargeback risk, when you can just set it up in seconds? You just have an address, you just have a public key that somebody can pay to. And how quickly, when there doesn't have to be success for very many people in that world to be really, really enticing about joining it. And we are definitely in a space where things move incredibly quickly. Clawbot, Odell has one, Marty has one, I have one. This shit's like 3 weeks old. It's changed its name 3 times. You know, like it's like 3 or 4 weeks old, and we're hit 1 million or more of people who have implemented and done this. And Ryan Gentry, was sitting with him in the we ended up taking our Uber to the Plan B together. We just bumped into each other at the airport, and we were talking about exactly that, because I was in the middle of setting it up when I was chatting with him, and he was like, dude, this might be like, it's because you implement, you give it these skills or whatever. Is like, this could probably be like, I want to see somebody do this, and maybe we'll do this, of like managing Lightning and Bitcoin, like with the agent, is like to develop a skill. Is it like, well, you don't have to think about this stuff. Like, here's the key. We do a remote sign. Like, you sign the stuff, you just approve it, and nothing happens without your signature. You can configure a gateway to not even allow communication without a signature. And then otherwise it manages, it does liquidity. You just don't even think about the rest of it. It's going to simplify the interactions with things, because your like software is probably going to become ethereal. Like it's not even going to become static software. Like software, like you'll use a different piece of software in the afternoon than you used in the morning, just because you're modifying it as you use it. Max was just on the show, and he said probably the normal like number of people who are using a particular piece of software will be 1, because modifying software will become so easy and so ubiquitous that it won't matter. And that also suggests a massive push towards protocols, because protocols will be the only things that are consistent enough to build software that changes every day on top of.
Guy, where do I get started?
Do what?
Where do I get started? I need to start playing around. So like, for the people in the chat that are like, I don't like, where do I even begin? What would you seed them with? You know,
I would test it out. I would test it out first with, like, you can run this on a Raspberry Pi. Like, well, I don't know. Yeah, maybe a little bit of a beefier computer, like just like a decent old laptop or something. Just treat it like a Bitcoin node, right? Yeah. And then plug it into a centralized service. Plug it into Anthropic, or I like Claude a lot because Claude has a lot of personality. And then download it. It's OpenClaw now. It's like lobster is the icon. So that's its new name from a couple of days ago. Download it and install it. I had a couple of little minor headaches or whatever, and I think it was actually just because I had a new computer for it. And start playing around with it, and just see if you can like get it into your workflow. Like if you can, like I said, create all of its own accounts, set it up, go through. As soon as you get something with it working, you can just ask it how to do the rest of the stuff. That's what I did.
You literally like, you hit hurdles and you're like, well, fix it. Just fix the thing
Yeah.
for me. And then it just goes and thinks for a while. And it's like, I think I fixed it. And then you test it out. It's like, you didn't fix it. Fix it now. And then it goes back and it just tries to fix it. It's crazy.
But yeah, basically that. And then start. My favorite thing already, like immediately, is it's already managing my calendar. It's already managing my to-do list. And it's already managing like my idea list. And I'm going to, because I can just have it organize stuff in projects that I have ongoing. And the way it deals with memory is it's constantly referencing like this tree of like relevance, so that it's always talking to you in context of things that you've already been working on. I don't know how that scales, but supposedly it scales very, very big. But it's been really great in that. And in addition is that like just being able to organize stuff and give it any sort of like, I screenshot conversations from every different venue or avenue or whatever that I'm doing of like, where's this? Or don't forget, I screenshotted. So you sent me the Twitter message about why are we bullish? I totally forgot about this. I screenshotted that conversation and dropped it in and said, please add this to the calendar, and added to calendar. And so like the capability of beginning to get used to it and thinking about what it means to have an agent. Like I now give it tasks before I go to sleep. Nice. To dig into stuff. And I ask it for like a morning briefing. What am I missing? You know, what should I be focusing on? What am I about to get a message back on? Like, guy, where's this? We haven't talked in like 5 days. I thought we were going to do blah, blah, blah. It is a different kind of AI. It is a different kind of AI. It's one of the first like real applications of AI that feels like it's the next level. Damn. And it's pretty wild.
All right.
Yeah, I see. I just want to throw it out there because I see Winsome Hacks in the comments. Like, just be very careful and deliberate about what information you give it and what accounts you give it access to. Like, you're giving this opaque software that has super user access, access to a bunch of things. So just be very careful. It's very early. It's very new. I just think this is a taste of what's to come. And I just want to before we move on, like, it's not just the Bitcoin payments side, which I think Bitcoin payments are perfect for this. And it's the first time that we really had a use case where Bitcoin payments are perfect, with very little trade-offs there for it. But also like all the UX issues, like Ben, like you've dedicated your life to giving people 2-hour tutorials on how to use Bitcoin tools. Like, we are going to be at the point where you can say, you know, set up a Fediment instance, you know, and give me the configuration files and stuff.
Watch
like
this BTC Sessions video.
Yeah, the easy, it's gonna transcribe your video and then figure out how to fucking do it. But especially in the beginning, but like that's kind of crazy. Like the Lightning node piece is it seems like very near future. You know, you say set up a Lightning node, tell me how I connect it to Zeus on my phone. Yeah, and it'll give you step by step. Like, okay, here's how to set it up. It's like, okay,
I might just do it tomorrow
and make sure my liquidity is good.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked on it. I gotta get playing around. But yes, I will, as Guy, you said, set up segregated accounts and all that kind of stuff. I think
I'm gonna segregate it. I think I'm gonna isolate it on my network too. Just like tell the MAC address that it can't talk to other devices on the network.
Yeah, there's a lot of edge cases where it could be a fucking disaster.
Yeah. Especially with like everybody like exposing their API. Like don't send it to Moltbook or any of that crap. Oh my God. Yeah. Just keep it. It works great. It's just like connected to your cloud account right there in your home on your computer. Don't go wild connected with every damn thing in the world.
You see the story
just like having a computer and using software. It's wild.
Someone gave there was a story out there that someone gave root iMessage access to his main iMessage to his bot, and it just started responding to his wife. His wife just like flipped out on him. And like that's a perfect example. Like you don't really be careful what you give it access to.
Yeah. All of a sudden his wife is actually happy in the marriage. Bot starts caring.
You're such a good listener. I see things
Amazing,
in you.
amazing. All right, so gentlemen, I'm gonna switch gears. Brandon, we still need to find out why you are bullish or not, but I'm gonna say one last quick shout out to sponsors. We'll be back in just a moment. Also, I just wanted to say on the side, you can sure tell it's for sure a bear market because the comment section is spicy. It doesn't matter what is said. It's like there's some dude apparently with 50 years of market experience. Bitcoin has no use case. Gold and silver only. There's people that
Amazing.
like apparently Odell, you may be a courtard. I guess there's all kinds of stuff. Bunch of people. These guys have no idea about Bitcoin price.
This is the Bitcoin I love. Everybody hates everything Bitcoin.
Yeah. But everybody's still here. Everybody's taking
shines.
their time in the chat to yell at each other. So we're definitely, we've made it, gentlemen. We've made it. We'll be back in just a moment. Looking for a simple and secure way to manage your Bitcoin on mobile? AQUA Wallet has you covered. It's user-friendly and puts you in full control of your Bitcoin with secure self-custody. AQUA also supports Lightning and Liquid Network, making fast, cheap Bitcoin payments and asset transfers easier than ever. Plus, it even supports stablecoins, giving you ultimate flexibility. Built on open source code, AQUA is transparent, trustworthy, and perfect for beginner and pros alike. Ready to upgrade your Bitcoin experience? Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen now to download AQUA Wallet today. Securing your Bitcoin doesn't have to be complicated or invasive. With NUNCHUK's HONEYBADGER plan, you get state-of-the-art multisig with built-in inheritance planning and no KYC required. NUNCHUK is trusted by users to secure billions of dollars in Bitcoin. The HONEYBADGER plan offers 204 assisted multisig, guiding you step-by-step on mobile or desktop. It works seamlessly with hardware wallets like TapSigner, Coldcard, Jade, and plenty of others, so you're always in control. Plus, with non-KYC inheritance planning, you can ensure your Bitcoin goes to your loved ones. No private info needed. Take control of your Bitcoin today. Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen to check out the HONEYBADGER plan. DEBIFI is the best and easiest way to borrow against your Bitcoin in a non-custodial way. Funds are held in a multi-sig escrow where you hold a key, and the platform allows for excellent hardware like the Coldcard Mark IV and the Q. You have access to flexible conditions, the best rates, and institutional-grade liquidity. If you're looking to make use of your capital, don't sell your Bitcoin, borrow against it. You can head over to DEBIFI.com to check them out, or simply scan the QR code on the screen. All right, back in. Mr. Quittem, the floor shall be yours, and we want to find out why you, if you still are bullish.
All right, guys, here we go. So set up. Am I bullish? I don't know if I'm bullish. Let's set it up. We're in the fourth turning right now. Give a quick background there. It's the crisis period. I'm not going to go deep, but go read my essay. Go listen to 9,000 podcasts on the topic. But the TLDR is looking over American history over, let's say, 500 years. The authors noticed a pattern every 80 to 90 years, roughly. We go through a crisis period. Institutions decay, we lose trust in the system, economic equality hits all-time high, young people look for alternatives, right? We all feel this. Previous fourth turning, World War II, before that Civil War, before that Revolutionary War. I think it's pretty obvious we're in the depths of that right now. Hopefully we don't end up in total war, but we're batting 1,000 so far. Not great. So how am I bullish on this? Feels like we're approaching the climax of the fourth turning. Timing, tough to say. I mean, several years, I would say. Within 5 years, maybe within 2 years. And I've got a 3.5-year-old son upstairs who just got home from swimming lessons. And I would be really happy if in 10, 15 years, he becomes an adult in a much better world. And so let's dig in just a little deeper here. In my opinion, the current path of America right now is entirely unsustainable. Everything's fucked. And so how do we get out of that? We have to experience more pain. Why? Because humans don't act until the last possible moment when the pain hits all-time high, and then we hurry up and rewrite the rules, redo the institutions. And so I think that's the only way to improve things, is to go through it. Insert Warren Churchill quote if you like. But I am bullish that America will get their shit together again, because we've done it before, and I think there's greener pastures on the other side here. Fun historical anecdote. In 1787, after the Constitutional Convention in Philly, Benjamin Franklin walks out, and some reporter or someone was like, "What happened? How did it go?" And, you know, what did you guys make? And he said, "A republic, if you can keep it." Right? So that's OG American values. Ben Franklin had the wisdom to say, we created a republic with a power structure that we believe will last, but the if you keep it part, that's the key here, which means it will degrade over time, and it requires us to go through hard times to hopefully reinvigorate the OG American values. Now, it's not guaranteed. There's a world where we slip into a dystopian techno state a la China. I've got more faith in America than that, but there is a chance. And what does it mean? Like, it means we have to we have to literally reimagine what the American Republic will be. What is the fourth implementation before of this thing is? It won't be the same, but we can take what we've learned, modernize it, blah, 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 and see how close we can get to that. And so I'm hoping for something like a return to property rights, separation of powers, federalism. We actually care about markets, get all the pedophiles out, actually make stuff in America.
Wood chipper first.
Wood chipper first, first offense, 100% compliance wood chippers on every block. And also less foreign interventionism, right? That's all American empire stuff, doesn't do anything good for us. And yeah, there's a lot of presidents in America, especially the OGs, who said foreign affairs should be about setting up safety here and economics. And I think that's the right direction. Localize regionally, we can get everything we need from regional partners, no more credit card wars, only economic arrangements. And I think that's a good world. And I also think that there's nothing more American than apple pie and Bitcoin. And so I think Bitcoin plays a role here, that the values are essentially American values, OG American values. And I do believe that we will figure this out eventually. And that could be something like OG American values, Bitcoin at the center of global finance, hopefully return to strong families and literal fundamentals. Preaching to the choir in the Bitcoin world there, but you add all that stuff up, I'm bullish. Timeline, pretty long.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Your mention of Benjamin Franklin makes me think of the Madex that I've got behind me on the wall here. It's one of my favorites. Mr. Franklin there, ready to defend that republic. So anyway, shout out Madex. But yeah, I mean, it definitely feels it's hard fourth turning vibes right now. Like, it's just every day. It's you look at the news and you're like, holy geez, and it's really difficult to talk to anyone with any degree of nuance on anything. You get shouted out of like, I mean, I was at maybe I won't go like super detailed, but I was at like a social gathering, and there's a person that I typically thought of as very well spoken, very usually the person that I would consider to be the most reasonable, willing to have a good debate, but also will try to settle the argument with his best efforts in terms of presenting a better case for something. And I watched him shout somebody out of the room for having a different opinion, like literally kick somebody out of the fucking house. It was pretty wild, and it completely changed my opinion on that person. But like, I think it's just a sign of the times. I think
was it Bitcoin related or just
no, this was like politics related, but like really mundane kind of, in my opinion, mundane politics. Yeah, I think I personally am exhausted about that kind of stuff. It's so tiring. I'm really sick of on both ends of the political spectrum, the constant bickering. But again, it's very kind of reflective of where we're sitting, I think. But solid book. If anybody watching hasn't read The Fourth Turning, it's pretty interesting for sure. So.
Mandibles, then Bitcoin Standard.
Yes, I've got all of those.
I think. Look, I mean, I think Brandon's timelines are probably about right. Like it's not peak yet. I think Marty on my show Rabbit Hole Recap called peak Clown World in like 2021. And I think calling peak right now would probably, and I'm not saying Brandon's calling peak right now, but I think it would be equivalent to calling it in 2021. Like I think it gets, unfortunately, significantly worse before it gets better. I hope that's not the case. But that's how I'm pegging it right now.
Yeah, let's go back to the 30s for a second. So essentially the same period of the fourth turning as we are in now. It was popular for young people to say, wait a minute, capitalism doesn't work. Look what happened. We got to find an alternative. And so all the coastal elites, as we call them now, they were all socialists, communists, and it was a popular thing then, right? They brought marginal tax rates like to 90%, deficit spending, all this stuff that's previously unimaginable. It all comes out. And on your point, Ben, I feel that social division massively. Everyone does. There's no way to avoid that. And I think that's a natural consequence of the fourth turning conditions, because we finally look around and say everything's fucked and we have to do something about it. And in order to do hard things, you have to band together and make sacrifice. And along that path, you end up saying, well, if you're not with us, you're against us. And we dig our heels in, and we all believe it's existential. So it should just be political philosophy differences, and who gives a shit? You're my neighbor. You can borrow my leaf blower. But instead, he's got a sign in his front yard that I disagree with, or vice versa. And that feels like my enemy. And so,
I mean, yeah. The Wilder thing, though, which I don't think anyone really knows how it plays out, is like how social media and digital connectiveness changes all of this and amplifies it. I mean, people like, you used to get into, maybe like if you look at historical references, like you'd get into a fight with someone at work, or maybe at the local church or the local grocery store or something. Now people are like trying to get teachers fired that like live in a different country than them. So it's a pretty wild combination, and it, in a lot of ways, it accelerates things. In a lot of ways, it exaggerates things. It makes things more severe. So it should be interesting to see how that plays out. I don't pretend to know how that plays out, but I think everyone is discounting it because we just haven't been in that situation before.
Yeah, I think just when you think,
go ahead, Guy. Sorry.
Just when you think about it in the context of like where we are politically, like the reason you're at your neighbor's throat is because everybody's aware that whether or not like the political world is what determines whether or not you succeed or fail, is that it becomes in control of everything, whether or not you have healthcare, whether or not you have like a good income, whether or not you're the owner of a daycare that serves 0 children and makes millions of dollars, or you're paying 30% in taxes and barely squeezing by and paying $5,000 a month in childcare while you're both working your ass off and you don't even get to raise your kids. And when that becomes the center of every major decision, it does feel like you have to kill your neighbor for things to get better, because the political system is either making or destroying your life. And like, we are definitely there. We are definitely there. And unfortunately that means the violence probably gets worse.
Dude, I posted, I don't know why I had opened, for some godforsaken reason, I had clicked on Facebook in the first time and I don't know how long, and it opened and I saw like a bunch of like broad stroke, if you vote this way or whatever, you are the following thing. And so I was like, what'd be nice if somebody said a thing that wasn't if you're this person, I hate you. And so I just said, I said something to the tune of like, I prefer these policies, but also I think it's totally okay if you prefer these other policies. I can absolutely still be friends with you. And I shoot, the first comment was this unhinged tirade of like what a fucking asshole I was. It was just it went on, and I was like, oh my god,
Love it.
Get rid of, get no more Facebook ever. it was wild.
That place is crazy.
Oh, it is. It is
crazy. It's weird how all the social medias have their own personality.
Yeah.
Facebook is literal nuts. Like
Facebook is like my old social circles.
Yeah.
So like I go on there and I'm like, oh, this is all pre-Bitcoin people, and it shows.
What's the mass psychosis thing? Like that is Facebook. That Facebook is the mass psychosis corner of the social media world.
Yeah. Although my X feed now also is peppered because the Alberta thing is spicy. And so there's, everybody, I would be super happy to leave. I'm big on more local governance. I think it makes, it more accurately reflects the population, the, more granular you get, less efficient, but more representative of the people there. And other people are just like, you bunch of fucking Nazi bigoted, like this, just you're the worst person ever if you just aren't a fan of a large overreaching federal government. It's pretty wild. So yeah, I'm feeling it.
All right, I got to comment on Matt's, I think, really strong point on the fact that we're all online being a difference here. It's absolutely true. Everyone is sucked in. We're all doom scrolling, and the differences on either side are exaggerated then. And then we're all fighting this imaginary boss, which is the most extreme video on your X feed. And then you say, well, everyone on the other team is that. And so, we're all wrapped up in it. Okay, let's throw some other data here before I wrap this up. Roughly 30% of Americans that were polled in whatever poll believe that they should secede from the federal government. 25 to 30% of Americans, as of I think last year, believe that violence is okay to push your politics. Trust in institutions, all-time low since we've ever measured it, over 100 years. One more. Guess, this one's for you guys. What percentage of marriages in 2024, I think it was 2024, were between a Democrat and a Republican?
Less than one.
It's got to be single digits somewhere.
Yeah, you guys are too smart. Yeah, 4%.
Holy 4%? Shit.
4%.
That's actually surprising.
Wait till the 2025 numbers come out.
That's surprisingly high. I'm optimistic now. I just could not imagine it was
now Guy is mathing out how far from the fourth turning from the climax we truly are.
Oh man, we got like 7 years left at least.
Yeah.
But honestly, you add all that up, and then you look at the battlegrounds being drawn in Minneapolis and other states and Mamdani and wealth tax. It's not hard to draw, not even an exponential line, draw a straight line forward. And fast forward 24 months from now, like it's a tinderbox here. And all the desperation among the majority of people. If your back's against the wall, you do crazy stuff. So not into it.
Yeah. Wild. Well, gentlemen, I'm conscious of time. Also, I've got some dadding to do. I've got a daughter with a hip hop class that I get to go and watch tonight. So
nice.
Yeah. So in line with the whole what do you do during a bear market, stuff like that. Right? You enjoy your family. You do things that are interesting, build your skill set, and you stay put. You keep on, as Odell coined, stack sats, stay humble, all the good things. But don't dwell online. Have a fun life. Have good relationships, and make yourself a better person as you can. But outside of that, gentlemen, I'll go around really quick. Anything you want to finish with, and anything you want to point people towards that may be of value to them. So Brandon, I'll start with you.
You know, Ben, I think you stole my wrap up from the last time I was on the show. I'm going to go check my notes afterwards, almost verbatim. So I don't have much else to add, but Ben is right. Our central nervous system, our meat suit is not designed for these conditions. So if you feel bad, stop all that. Go back to the fundamentals. Turn off the internet. No more doom scrolling. Friends, family, positive relationships, eat healthy, sleep, sunshine. Like, that's all you need. And your life will be immeasurably better if you just focus on that. And so nothing else to add, Ben, other than cosign.
Amazing. Odell, how about yourself?
First of all, I just want to say, like, it's kind of crazy the amount of shit we've all been through together. And it's cool that we're all like going through this like father chapter in our lives at the same time. It's an honor and a privilege. It feels like a blessing. And I'm very grateful for that. But look, guys, just don't get shaken out. It's a story as old as Bitcoin. Focus on what matters. Relationships, family, friends first, always. But focus on what matters. Improve your skills. Skills make a man. Responsibility makes a man. Improve your skills. Learn how to use real Bitcoin. It's easy. It's way easier than you think it is. And stack as much as fucking possible. Don't take your foot off the fucking gas. This is where it matters the most. And with chaos comes opportunity. So seize it.
Hell yeah. Mr. Swann, to conclude your 15th appearance on Why Are We Bullish, do you have any parting words for us?
Oh, pressure. Now I gotta do something good. So I would say don't forget what Bitcoin is and how important and large it will have to be to accomplish what it's designed to accomplish. You know, especially in the context of like, you know, volatility, like gold has almost 3x'd since the beginning of 2024. And that shit is a $35 trillion market cap right now. Bitcoin is 1.5. Like, we still have a long way to go. And gold is not where Bitcoin stops. If Bitcoin is what Bitcoin is, what we think Bitcoin is. And I think we're going through there's so much political turmoil. There's so much uncertainty. People run to trust. People run to familiar. And Bitcoin is not familiar, and it's also not the shiny new thing right now. So this, I think, is just an awkward teenager stage for Bitcoin. And we're still trying to realize its infrastructure. We're still trying to make all of its tools work for all the people. And we're having a huge technological shift. There's shiny new things to look at somewhere else. And we've opened up into a lot of new liquidity, and people have been exiting a 5 to 7 year position because it's done really well. And, you know, so we are just in a weird spot with Bitcoin, and it always feels like hell when you get to these little zones. I've done this a lot of times now in Bitcoin, and I remember multiple times in the worst of the worst when things felt awful. I made the wrong decision. I sold some. I remember there was one time where I got caught in a really bad spot, and I thought I was going to be able to turn back around and buy it back, and I didn't. And I ended up having to sell like a Bitcoin and a half at $16,000 just before it turned around, like the dumpiest of the dump zone. And I completely missed my ability to get the equity out that I thought I was going to buy back in. And it hurts so bad. It hurts so bad to think that I could have just held on for another couple of months and not been so I have to do it right now. And to remember that how you feel is not the reality. You know, how you feel is the result. It's the lagging indicator, not the leading. And also I was not only with Brandon's thing is like go out and, you know, be outside, be with your kids. But I'll say another thing is build. Vibe coding is so much fun. I genuinely think vibe coding has solved my social media addiction. because I just want to build stuff. I sat down last night in the bed and was like waiting to, I was like trying to watch a little bit of something before bed, or like maybe I was going to scroll through social media, and I did both for just like 5 or 8 minutes. I was just like looking, and I was just like, this sucks. This sucks. I want to do something. I was still like amped up, and ended up vibe coding for like 3.5 hours until like 1 o'clock in the morning. Like, we are in a time where you have the capability to build stuff easier than we have ever been able to build. We have so much groundwork with the protocols that other people have built, so that you can just front end Lego block a bunch of crap together, where the security and a lot of the other heavy lifting has already been done. And you can just make things that you want. You can just make things that you wish existed. And there's no better time than high uncertainty, loss in trust in the establishment, political turmoil, crazy things, everything's up in the air, to be building something that you think is really cool, and plug some Bitcoin into it and see what happens. Like, because I think we're going to brute force our way to a better world.
Nice. I like that. That should be a t-shirt. Brute force your way to a better world. Amazing. Gentlemen, huge thank you. Everyone, please do go check out these gentlemen. Odell over on Nostr. Although bot Odell is back on X, so make sure you give him a follow too. Sound advice always coming out of that account. But yeah, go check out all these guys. And of course, thank you guys for being here. And yeah, thanks for being part of the second to last Why Are We Bullish? Again, make sure you guys tune in on the 18th to see what's going to be in its stead. Odell, Brandon, Guy Swann, thank you guys so much. Have a great evening.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Later, boss.
When I first got into Bitcoin, I was overwhelmed. The jargon, the security risks, the fear that one mistake could cost everything. I remember staring at my screen and wondering, are my keys safe? Did I do this right? That experience is why I started BTC Sessions. For over a decade, this channel has helped millions of people like you learn how to use and secure Bitcoin. But I realized something. For many people, videos aren't enough. Everyone learns differently. Some need to ask questions in real time as an expert walks through their setup, their goals, and their threat model. And certain things like advanced cold storage, inheritance planning, privacy, and node or mining setups often can't be fully solved by watching another tutorial. So I built BTC Mentor. I recruited the best Bitcoin educators on the planet to work with you one-on-one. Real experts, real answers, personalized hands-on guidance tailored to your exact situation. Whether you're brand new or building a complex setup, we meet you where you're at and walk with you step by step. By the end, you don't just hope your Bitcoin is safe, you know it is. If you're ready for that level of confidence, then head to btcmentor.io and book a call with us today.